Okay, so Howard the Duck ran as a newspaper comic strip from June 6th, 1977, something like that, up until the end of October 1978. So it was a short-lived newspaper comic strip. It ran Monday through Saturday as, you know, a black and white strip, and then on Sundays it would run in color. And this is an assortment of color Sundays from various newspapers. And what's interesting is that it was short-lived and it wasn't very popular. So it appeared in very few newspapers, and the newspapers that it did appear in, most of them didn't run it for the entire time that the strip was available. Like, a lot of newspapers would only run it like 3 months and then they would drop it. So it wasn't a success by any means, but it's an interesting experiment. And if you're a fan of Howard the Duck, it's I don't know, for me it's kind of like the ultimate Howard the Duck collectible from that time period. Because the comics, as you know, you can pretty much find anywhere, but trying to track down original newspaper comic strips is quite the challenge. So what I wanted to show in this video, though, is what I think is the shortest newspaper run that the strip ever had, and that is in the Edmonton Sun. So let's take a look at some issues of the Edmonton Sun. This is the first issue of the Edmonton Sun, and it's November 12th, 1977, and they don't have any comics at this point. This is volume 1, issue 1. Now bear in mind, this is, like I said, this is November 12th, but Howard the Duck had started in early June of 77. So Howard's already been running for a few months when the Edmonton Sun starts up. And actually by this point, quite a few newspapers, they started with Howard the Duck at the very beginning of June, and they went like maybe June, July, and then by August they were bailing on the strip. So it's interesting that the Edmonton Sun comes late into the picture and even decides to bother with the strip. Okay, so Volume 1, Issue 1, they have no comics whatsoever, and at this point the paper's a weekly. It's published on Sunday only, and here's the first cover, and it's very thin. So then if we fast forward 3 weeks from November 12th, we get the third weekly Sunday issue, and we can see that the date is now November 27th, and up in the corner here they're actually promoting the fact that they now are carrying color comics inside, and the featured illustration is Howard the Duck. So it's obvious that they felt that Howard would give them some sort of buying power with their audience, that they would go through the trouble of actually featuring him right on the cover. Issue number 3, so this is only the third week that they've published on a Sunday. Their competitor, by the way, was the Edmonton Journal, who at this point, I think the Edmonton Journal, I have to double check, Edmonton Journal was about ready to start publishing their Sunday comics in the comic book format. And I can't remember, I don't think they had quite done it at this point, but they were on the verge of converting from a tabloid format to the comic book format. Okay, but back to the Edmonton Sun, which is what we're looking at here. Color comics now inside. So if we open it up, it's not still, since it's still only the third issue, there's not that many pages, it's not that thick. But if we jump to the center section, we can indeed see that they've got color comics in the tabloid form. And there you go. And right on the cover they have On Stage in what looks like a third format, and animal crackers they're featuring in what's known as the Sunday half format, and this supplement is what's called tabloid form. Some of you may already know that, but maybe some people aren't familiar with it. So we open it up, and what do we have inside? Well, we've got, let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit. Okay, on the inside we have Lockhorns, kind of a third format, Catfish in a third, Henry in a third. We get Prince Valiant in a full tab page. And we turn the corner, and here we have an absolutely beautiful full tab page of Howard the Duck. And the registers that have to do with the alignment of the colors on the page are just perfect. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see there's no color bleeding outside the lines. They did a really, really nice job. So, you know, I'm guessing they were rather proud to be carrying the strip, and they felt that this was going to give them some sort of edge over their competitor with the Edmonton Journal. You know, obviously somebody there liked Howard, because on the page facing this, over here, you can see my cat trying to help out. Thank you. But you can see Motley's Crew at the top here. This is in a third. Inside Woody Allen is a third, and Sam and Silo printed as a third. So, you know, here they were giving Howard a full page, and yet these other strips they were relegating to a third each. So they obviously felt that Howard was important or worth it, or they were fans. And if we turn the page, what else do we have that they were offering? We've got Gasoline Alley up here as a half. That's nice. Heathcliff has a half. Family Circus printed as a third, but I think it's complete. Flintstones third. Tiger is a third. And then we have also Dick Tracy. So I think they felt that Dick Tracy was a bit of a coup as well over their rival. And the other thing they did was, it seems like the paper, I don't know if it was just because it was stored well over the years, but it almost seems like this paper is just slightly higher quality than the rest of the newspaper. In other words, this paper here seems just slightly more pulpy, and this is just a little bit higher grade. So they were trying to, whoever was printing their comics, because usually back then, for example, the Edmonton Sun wouldn't have the ability to print color comics, so they would have to outsource that to some other newspaper, and it could be, you know, quite far. It could be a couple provinces away, or it could be a location states away within the U.S. But so I don't know who was printing this for them, but boy, they did a good job, because like I said, the color alignment is absolutely perfect. Okay, so this is November 27th, 77. They're basically off and running with their color comics. And if we go one more week into the future, we're now at December 4th, 77, and it's the same deal. We turn to the center section, and it's the same exact layout with the same titles. Another nice Prince Valiant. This Howard is also, you know, the same, given the full page tab format. It looks good. It looks like the blacks are a little thick. The black lines to me just look like a touch thick. I don't know, that could be Val Mayrick's artwork or not, I don't know. Everything else, you know, again, the colors look great. And there's Dick Tracy once again. Okay, let's go one more week into the future. We're now at December 11th. Same sort of thing. Got On Stage Animal Crackers. Longhorns up here in the third. Catfish Henry. We've got the full page of Prince Valiant. Turn the corner. And once again, just another absolutely beautiful Howard the Duck. I'll zoom in so you can see again the color alignment's absolutely perfect. There's no bleeding outside the lines. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Motley's Crew, Woody Allen, Sam Silo. Same lineup as before. Gasoline Alley, Heathcliff, Family Circus, Flintstones, Tiger, and again Dick Tracy. So you get the idea. I mean, those were the strips that they had. That was the format that they were running with. So this is their 5th issue. It's December 11th. And then we've got the 6th issue I don't have. This is the 7th issue from December 25th. This is the 9th issue from January 8th. We're now into 1978. January 22nd, 1978. And then there's a jump in my collection. And the next issue I have is April 2nd, 1978. And now what's interesting is with April 2nd, suddenly, the paper switched format. They went from being a Sunday only paper to being a daily paper. So they were suddenly, as of April 2nd, they're going to publish 7 days a week. So they restarted their numbering. Because they were going to 7 days a week, they went back to calling that issue in April, Volume 1, Number 1, because suddenly now they were doing 7 days a week. And as far as their comics, they changed the format. They changed their comic format from being tabloid to a newspaper comic book format. So if we turn to the center, if we find the center, we can see that the comics are now not in a tabloid format, but they were going over to a comic book format. And for this first issue, they didn't cut it as tight as they wanted to. They actually cut it more like a magazine size. So they left this white border, and then in the future weeks when they issued this, that white border would be trimmed down so that basically what you see here in the blue is the size that future issues would be in the future Sundays after this. So if we take a look at this, suddenly, you know, it's a new format and it's new strips. It's a different lineup of strips. So we've got basically an ad on the left-hand side over here talking about how they want kids to send in drawings, which they're going to be featuring on the cover of future issues. And over here we've got Born Loser. We have Steve, Roper, Mike Nomad. We have Archie. We have Flintstones printed here horizontally, which is actually nice. Grin and Bear It. We have Henry down here. We have kind of a center section with riddles and poems. We have Fred Bassett up here, Catfish, Winthrop, Family Circus, Miss Peach, Ziggy, Inside Woody Allen, Flash Gordon, Frank and Ernest, and Mark Trail. And then that's it. So this is April 2nd, 1978, and guess what? No Howard the Duck. He's still being offered, you know, by the syndicate, but the Edmonton Sun, for whatever reason, decided to drop him. So it's kind of a short-lived run, really. Essentially, we know that the Howard the Duck strip started on Sunday, November 27th, as being printed in the Edmonton Sun, and we know that by April 2nd, it had been dropped. So at the most, if we go 1 week prior to this April 2nd, and even though I don't have that issue, if we think that maybe that was the last appearance of him within the Edmonton Sun, that means that he only appeared at most 18 times in the newspaper, which is amazing. I can't think of any other paper that featured the strip fewer times, you know, of any paper that actually carried it at all. That's, I think, a record on the low end. So 18 appearances maximum in the Edmonton Sun. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like it, leave me some comment, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this, because I've got more information about other newspaper comic strips and about Howard the Duck.